Today we're covering the starting strength squat. It is infamous in its goofiness, and I want to break it down because squatting is something that should be easy, and I know it's really daunting when you're new. There's so many different cues and recommendations. It feels like you always have to go back to the drawing board to screw with it. The reality is, guys, you just have to get comfortable doing what you're doing. There's no shortcut. The more time you spend in the bottom position, the better it's going to feel.
That's what she said. No time. But she did. No time.
Squatting is one of those things that should be simple. I mean, we're built to do it. My toddler can do it exceptionally well, and my toddler can't do anything exceptionally well. So if you're a new lifter, you might just be bashing your head against a wall thinking, what's wrong with me? Why does this feel like crap at the bottom? And that might take you down a rabbit hole of squat tutorials, where people are offering all kinds of hard, fast rules about what you must do if you want to get anything out of the squat, if you want to avoid being injured, if you even want it to count as a squat. Today we're covering the starting strength squat. It's one that is infamous in lifting lore due to its obvious goofiness, due to the fact that almost no world-class squatters squat this way, and due to the fact that Ripito, certainly not known for his dogmatic approaches to lifting, insists that this is actually the universal correct way to squat. So we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to evaluate these tutorials. We're going to figure out if there's anything to this. Is there even some redeemable takeaway? Or are we just being sold a big steaming overhyped cow patty? But real quick, I have a question for you. Do you like free shit? You do? Well, what a coincidence, because I have some free shit to give you. Free shit number one, you hit the link below. I'm giving away my program's Bull Mastiff 70s Powerlifter from my book Base Strength. You don't have to buy Base Strength. You don't even have to go rip it off of PDF Coffee or whatever. It's down below, completely free, so you can sleep well at night. There's also 2 new diagnostic tools I'm giving you absolutely free. You punch in your information, your limb measurements. It's going to go lift by lift, tell you what your recoverability is like. It's going to give you some actionable information so that you can work within your tolerances, and it's probably going to answer some questions as to why certain lifts have just been giving you a hell of a time. I'm unaware of anything else like this on the market. I'm giving it to you absolutely free. Thing number 2, I know you were checking out my barbell apparel gear. Use code Bromley when you check out. Purchase at $99 or more. They're going to throw some free shit at you. Last month it was free shorts. The month before that it was a hat, and the deal stacks. So go ahead and get yourself some comfy jeans, get yourself some Bromley tees, and walk away with some free goodies. That's enough shilling. Let's get into it.
We will approach the squat in 2 phases. First, unloaded, to solve problems associated with the bottom position, and then loaded to learn how to apply the bottom position to the hip drive used for heavier weights. Since the majority of the problems with the squat happen at the bottom, this method expedites the process quite effectively.
Now, first of all, I have to point out how buttery smooth Ripito's voice is. It's like when he's just giving rote instruction, like some corporate how-to video, and he doesn't bring all of the snark and condescension. It's actually kind of nice. I didn't mean for this to be an ASMR channel, but I'm gonna try my best not to fall asleep here. Now, thing number 2 is this right here, the bottom position of the starting strength Mark Ripito hip drive squat. Now, if this looks awkward, goofy, and counterintuitive, it's because it certainly is all of those things. This is so jarring to look at because everything that's going on here is in opposition of what you will typically see really good squatters doing when they're squatting. We got thumbs over the bar to give yourself more leverage as you armbar yourself by jerking your elbows up and back. We have the head looking straight down with the ass coming as far back as possible to create just maximal tension. It just looks funny. Now, I don't think starting strength is quite as popular as it was maybe like 10 years ago when raw powerlifting really started to hit a crescendo and CrossFit was driving a bunch of people to the barbell, and Ripito was still doing a lot of stuff with CrossFit. But when I was working at corporate gyms, I could spot a starting strength follower from a mile away. I'd be on the other side of the gym behind the trainer desk, drinking my gallon of milk, because that's how I roll when I'm working at LA Fitness. And I would see a good 300 feet away somebody in the squat rack, just elbows up, knees shoved out to the side, ass squatting back. And I'm like, that is a Ripito enjoyer if I've ever seen one. So let's see what Mark has to say about this.
We will use a fairly neutral foot placement with the heels about shoulder width apart and the toes pointed out at about 30 degrees.
This POV shot just hit me with such a visceral reaction. There's so many things I associate with this. Thing number 1 is just taking a leak. So I immediately see this and my body does that thing like when you're in bed and you feel like you have to pee and it seizes up. It's like, no, 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 no. Thing number 2, this is the am I getting too fucking fat position. It's an important diagnostic tool when you are a lifter to make sure that you are not, in fact, getting way too fucking fat. And you take a slightly wider than shoulder width stance, point your toes out, you look down, and you see how much of your lower half is being eclipsed by your gallon of milk a day gut. Okay, but that has nothing to do with squatting. Let's get back to it.
Many people will assume a stance with toes pointed too forward, so you may need to point them out more than you want to. Next, you are going to assume the position you will be in at the bottom of a squat without the bar. Squat down all the way.
This looks like something Daljim does in Street Fighter right before he throws a yoga flame at you. Now you can probably intuit that the position he's in right here is given a really nice stretch through the hamstrings and the groin, specifically the adductor magnus, which is used heavily in the squat. Pushing the elbows in to shove the knees out. Okay, you're getting tracking, so the knees are over the feet, although they have a weird fetish with getting the knees like almost past the feet, this like bow-legged nonsense. But by pushing the knees out, you're creating all this tension through the groin. That's something that elite powerlifters, especially low bar like hip dominant powerlifters, do, but they don't get into this funky position in order to do it. Now this fits into how Ripto conceptualizes a squat. In his words, the most musculature is surrounding the hips, and the hips are the biggest joint. Therefore, you should have it doing the lion's share of the work. You do that by shoving your ass back, keeping your knees back, and then by getting really as much tension as you can through the hamstrings and groin as you bounce out of the bottom, with the eternal command thundering down from the clouds, hip drive.
Put your elbows against your knees with the palms of your hands together and shove your knees out. Notice your feet are flat on the floor. Your knees are shoved out to where they are in a parallel line with your feet and just a little in
Give this guy a cigarette. He could be one of the Vietnamese cats waiting at the bus stop outside of the casino.
front of your toes. Your back should be as flat as you can get it. Also notice that your back is inclined at about a 45-degree angle.
His 45-degree angle is wild, bro. That is crazy work. And this is going to create a problem. Typically, you see those really, really steep angles with people that have really long femurs. If you imagine his femurs were longer, his ass goes back more, his shoulders would track backwards, right? So if you got longer femurs, a shorter torso, instead of being here, your shoulder's back here, and you would fall over. So you have to lean forward more as you get lower. But right here, he's obviously exaggerating it because you could see, and Rip is big, over the middle of the foot, well, the bar would have to be situated right here. This is, of course, not the position this guy is going to squat in unless he sits the bar several inches below his rear delts, which I'm guessing he's not going to do. The bar would ideally be positioned, think about right here, it'd be coming across the rear delt, and that'd be way over the toes. No matter how you slice it, he's already leaning over way too much. This is like a good stone pick position. This is a good like Zercher deadlift position. I don't know if I love this as a squat position.
Are looking down at the floor a few feet in front of you. After you've established the bottom position, come up out of the bottom by driving your butt straight up in the air.
I really appreciate how much he exaggerated it. That was the Elle Woods bend and snap maneuver right there. If you've ever been to the strip club on a Wednesday night, they got their C squad working, this maneuver right here is gonna make you very nostalgic for that. Now there's an olive branch I'll give, and that is that these cues give new lifters something to sink their teeth into, and squatting normally feels horrific when people start. They feel exposed. You're not really sure how to feel tight or secure at the bottom. This gives you that immediate feedback because you have so much tension. You shoved your knees out, you're pulling your hips back, you're going to get that supportive band at the bottom. You feel all that tension get taken out, and then by focusing on the hip drive, it's much easier to get newer lifters to kind of hit that aggressively because you do feel powerful in that position. And even if this isn't maybe the best overall way to squat, if you want to like be a world record holder or something, the benefit you get by being able to disseminate this to a whole bunch of people without a bunch of questions about, well, my ankles are tight, or my torso is short, or I don't have good hip mobility. This, as it turns out, is very adaptable. It can be recommended to a bunch of different types of people without much modification, and that's kind of a superpower. But remember, in lifting, this is always a problem. We have recommendations for groups and recommendations for the individual. You as an individual eventually have to find the thing that is going to optimize you based on your tolerances, your preferences, your particular build, and that is where there's going to be shortcomings and broad recommendations. So I actually don't hate this as a starting point. If we're going to have critiques, it's going to be of Mark's insistence that this is, in fact, the correct best way to squat.
Up, not forward, not back. This movement keeps your weight solidly over the whole foot instead of letting it shift to the toes.
Now, this is going to be a theme, the fetish for focusing on the foot, the midfoot versus the toe versus the heel. I've heard people write entire PhD dissertations on Facebook about the middle of the foot, and it drives me fucking crazy because it is a solution to a problem that really doesn't exist. Virtually no one ends up getting the bar over their toe. The bar is ever going to end up behind the midfoot because you would simply fall backwards. Matters is that the bar isn't going to cause you to fall forward or fall back. If you're not doing either of those things, the bar is positioned just dandy.
About a chain hooked to your hips, pulling you straight up out of the bottom.
This is a good morning position, folks. I'm not really sure how demonstrating this is supposed to help people keep the bar back over the middle of their foot, but hey, I'm just being nitpicky.
Pulling you straight up out of the bottom. Take an even grip on the bar, measured from the markings placed on the bar with the narrowest grip you can manage. A narrower grip allows a flexible person to better support the bar with the posterior muscles of the shoulders, and a wider grip allows an inflexible person to get more comfortable under the bar.
I don't really have an issue with that, except to say that if you're not flexible, it allows you to get comfortable. Well, inflexible people still squat a shit ton of weight. You get strong at however you train. This is just the way it is. So guys that are so fat, they have to throw their arms up over the plates. They get comfortable there. I was never really a fan of having people really cram their arms in. I know that there are some lifters who utilize that and they feel really good. And yeah, you will feel a bit tighter right out of the gate, but long term, it's not necessary because your potential to hold weight securely on your back is exponentially higher than your potential to move weight with your legs. So you add in the fact that that compression adds wear to your elbows and shoulders. I mean, I watched a girl snap her arm in half on a squat at a strongman event because she was the flexible person who was trying to get tight, and all this torque, it sidelined the show. We had to wait for a half hour while EMTs came and took her away. It was this whole big thing. And then Laura had to squat right after her. She was not excited after witnessing that. But I've popped my AC joint because I used to cram my hands in really tight, and it puts a lot of stress right on the shoulder joint. And you see powerlifters that have been at it for a while, they start to favor buffalo bars, safety bars, cambered bars, because being able to squat with your hands in a different position is a massive benefit. So this is one of those quick and dirty things that, okay, it can feel better, but I think long term, you're better off just not doing that.
The thumbs should be placed on top of the bar so that the wrists can be held in a straight line with the forearms. The elbows should be lifted up to trap the bar between the hands and the back.
So this is the arm bar position. You're trapping the bar, you got your arm thrown over here, you're cranking these bad boys up and back. That looks like a real good time. Typically, they just focus on pulling them down wherever your hands are to get tightness in your lat. Doesn't matter if they're wide or narrow. If you just kind of pull your elbows back and in, you get that back tightness, which helps a lot. But more often than not, you'll hear powerlifting coaches cue elbows down as you hit the descent. And the reason is, as you drop your elbows, the bar rolls back. And that prevents something that happens to a lot of lifters, which is the bar rolling forward at the bottom, which can take you off at the neck. It can cause you to round. Getting the bar to settle back just a little bit, it reinforces you getting into the upright position that so many people try to focus on. This is cueing the exact opposite. It's almost like he's going out of his way to be contrarian. Let's take the last 60 years of powerlifting, see what the best did, and we're just going to do the opposite. Oh, those guys are looking to the ceiling. We're going to have them look down. You guys are dropping your elbows. Nah, we're going to pigeon them back. Oh, you guys are trying to use as much quads as possible. You know what we say about quads? We say fuck quads. Also, with the straight wrist thing, I notice a lot more pressure on my wrist when I wrap my thumb. So going thumbless does help on my wrist. However, if I wear really tight wrist wraps, and I always wondered why the fuck guys would wear wrist wraps when they squat. I thought it was so stupid until I did it. And I'm like, oh, I guess I don't know everything. Wearing wrist wraps allowed me to drop my elbows because I could break my wrist back and it wouldn't feel like there was a ton of pressure directly in my wrist joint. That little bit of support made that more easy to accommodate. And especially if you are a high bar squatter or medium bar squatter, it allows you to keep your elbows directly under the bar, which again keeps the bar rolling back just a little bit, but it really does help facilitate you staying upright. So that's another point, it's like flat wrist, bent wrist. I don't really think it matters, but there is certainly a benefit to letting your wrist break back when you're squatting.
Into position with the bar on your back just below the spine of the scapula, the bone you feel at the top of the shoulder blades. And then secure it in place by lifting your elbows and chest at the same time.
Now this is good. I like this. I almost always tell people to start off resting the bar directly on their rear delts. You can actually do a high or low bar squat in this position, but this tends to be the most secure. It's a landmark that's easy to find. I think fucking around with bar height is one of the dumbest things that people do. Everybody can squat from this position. If you're going to put it up higher, it should be because you're an Olympic weightlifter or you're deliberately doing high bar as a developmental accessory exercise. However, I will also point out that Homeboy is not, in fact, placing the bar right here, so I am eager to see what his squat looks like when he's got some weight on the bar.
At this point, you are ready to squat with the empty bar. Everything you're about to do is the same as you did unweighted. Only two things are different. One, you don't have your elbows available to help push your knees out, so you need to do this with your brain. And two, don't stop at the bottom. Just go down and immediately come back up, driving your butt straight up, not forward, not back, out of the bottom. Now, look down at a spot on the floor about 4 to 5 feet in front of you. Take a big breath and hold it and squat. You should be in good balance at the bottom of the squat.
Now, guys, I don't have my glasses on here, but I'm looking at where that bar is positioned. We're going to drop a vertical line here. In fact, no, I'm no architect, guys, but I thought maybe the camera might be off a little bit. Maybe it's a weird angle, but I don't, if I'm dropping this sucker on the middle of his foot, I don't think this is close. I'm going to go ahead and say it. In fact, I would wager with anything more than a plate on this bar, this guy's going to feel quite a bit of pressure on his toes.
On your heels, nor forward on your toes. Balance problems usually indicate a back angle that is too vertical. Remember that the back angle will not be vertical at all. Sit back, lean forward, shove your knees out. Allow your hips to perform the squat, not your legs. Do not accept anything less than full depth, ever. If you are high, it is usually because your knees are not out.
I keep trying to rationalize my dislike for this thing. Can I just say like it's weird? Can we just do the thing where there's like a norm and then over here people are going against the norm for no apparent fucking reason? And the group just says like, hey, stop being stupid and shit. No, but our way of doing it's actually better. Oh, really? Do you have any good squatters? No? Then shut the fuck up.
We're going to learn how to squat and get the movement pattern down correctly before.
Look at young Ripito right here. This is making me sad because even here, you know, the way he's dressed, he's got the old man like shirt tucked into the pants. This is before he turned into the pink man. And you see he's got the little, the Friar Tuck bald patch on top. So I look at this and I think of like an older uncle. Then it dawns on me in this video, Ripito is probably younger than I am right now. So every time I watch Rip, it's like looking into my future. See, the pink is already starting.
Before the bar is introduced. So take your stance, and we're going to, your feet are flat on the ground, okay? Your heels have to be flat down on the ground. Knees will be just very slightly in front of the toes. Hips will be back there. Back will be at an angle. If we set the bar right there on the shoulder blade, and if we're going to have that bar balanced right over the middle of your foot, we have to have enough angle to keep it there, or you're off balance backwards.
Appreciate those sound effects. Now, one thing that this is validating, this is why I've always had kind of a soft spot for this approach, even though I'm mocking the holy hell out of it. It's obvious that people with a whole bunch of different builds can follow these cues and end up in a passable squat. We're seeing people with short femurs, with long femurs. We're seeing people, this guy is way more upright, and the reason is he has shorter femurs. We go to, this guy is quite a bit froggier. This is a hell of a sumo deadlifter. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So if you're taking people that have literally never squatted before, and I spent years training at corporate gyms dealing with those types of people, it is helpful to have a handful of cues that people understand immediately what to do. Even if you think you know what a good squat looks like, you're trying to walk people through it. That language connecting what you think to what you want them to do is extremely important. And this is something he disseminated to a whole bunch of people, and they were able to squat pretty well on their own without developing any obvious issues. Now, the first step you're going to get as you start to get more developed in the squat is personalize it to your build and your goals. And that is immediately going to take you into territory where you could get the wrong answer. You could adopt a cue from like a squatter that is phenomenal that you look up to, but isn't built like you in the slightest or had different problems. And this is where trial and error comes in. And that is the thing that makes teaching the squat to a wide group of people really fucking hairy. I also like how handsy Rip is getting. I mean, this is obviously well before Me Too. Like, he's putting his hands on the girls to like demonstrate hip drive, but like even here, he's like getting handsy with the guys. And I think there was a time when we were a more innocent society where we would see this and be like, this is just sensei making sure that you know exactly where you're supposed to be. He's helping with proprioception. Yeah, I know, I'm not calling it proprioception. That's stupid.
Drive your hips up. That's quite exaggerated, but that is the idea. This is what you squat with, okay? You're gonna lower your hips and you're gonna raise your hips. Come up out of the bottom. That's exactly right. Just drive the butt. That's the movement. One more time. Most people would like to have their head there. This produces more hip drive, and I'll show you. Look down at the floor, right there. That drags your chin into that position. Drive up hard, good, excellent. Now push up. Drive up hard. That's hip drive. That's the power out of the bottom. This time I want you to look up at the ceiling. Drive now.
Okay, Rip, okay. I had to watch this a few times because I felt like there was some fuckery here. Look at where his hands are when he's demonstrating hip drive with the head looking down.
Push up. Drive up.
Look at that nice low hand position right there. But when the guy's supposed to be straining because looking up makes it impossible, all of a sudden, Rip's hand migrates like half a foot up his back. Look at him dig in like he's tried to shove the guy down. Now the problem here isn't that you're actually weaker when you're looking up. It's that it's counter to the specific cue Rip is giving you. If your head's up, your chest is going to come up a little bit. So it kind of works against the idea of your hips coming up and putting you in this Wednesday night stripper position. They've also spent a substantial amount of time cueing that exact same movement over and over and over. So you get these nervous patterns set in. And then the first time he's like, yeah, but do it this different way. See, that's kind of awkward, isn't it? Well, dingus, if you have your head up or if you're trying to stay a bit more upright, you're obviously not cueing the hip drive nonsense. You are in fact using your legs, as all good squatters do, in direct opposition to what Ripto recommends, which is that you use your hips, not your legs. Here's an example of Chad Smith squatting before he was like knocking on a 1,000-pound squat. The squatty build has got really short femurs and a really long torso, which is how you want to be built to be advantaged in the squat. But what really stands out here is the lack of hip drive. It is the fact that he is essentially leg pressing the floor away and coming up with very even knee and hip extension at the same time. You're not just going to see that with Olympic lifters, you're going to see that with some of the best power lifters of all time. And as he comes down, you'll see him exaggerate pushing his knees forward because he is trying to use those big fucking quads that he has. So that's all I got for today, guys. I don't know, anytime I get to like make fun of something that's kind of goofy while also Trojan horse in some good lifting advice, I call that a win. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, this is Bromley. I'll see you.